Hey guys, and welcome to Pixel Cherry Ninja's channel. In this video we are having a look at the Taki clone when compared next to a couple of original MiSTer units, right? So Taki's MiSTerPi uses a clone or an alternative of the DE10 Nano, which is the FPGA used in the MiSTer project. So on the left hand side of the screen you have got the MiSTerPi, right? The MiSTerPi running. In the middle you have got an original DE10 Nano, and that is my single SD RAM setup. And on the right hand side you have got an original DE10 Nano, which is my dual RAM setup, right? And the reason I wanted to have all three up, now for example, if I just had the MiSTerPi up and one of my original DE10 Nanos, if there were any differences, then people may be a little bit more critical about the clone, right? But if I've got two DE10 Nanos there and there's differences, like slight differences between two original DE10 Nanos, then if we're talking like a frame or two, then these variables may exist between original DE10 Nanos themselves. Now what I've done here is I've used exactly the same micro SD card. So I started by filming on a MiSTerPi. When I finished that, I turned the MiSTerPi off. I took out that micro SD card. I put it in the one in the middle, right? The original with single SD RAM. I then I recorded it for an hour, right? The footage. And then I done that with the dual RAM setup. And the equipment that I used, the capture cards, everything is exactly the same. So I tried to make it as accurate or as thorough as possible. Right now I'm not sure if this kind of is science, right? I just wanted to have a go at it, and this is the best way I thought I could. Now honestly guys, I started this video like a day ago. I was going through stuff and I wanted to make sure that I am getting everything absolutely right. Now I did notice at certain points the clone would be out like a frame or two, and I wanted to make sure it wasn't my software that I was using for editing. So what I did was I then went back and I got the same clip and I put the same clip in 3 times and I compared it to make sure the same clip didn't go off, and it didn't. The same clip all the way through 1 hour, every frame remained the same. So I done a lot of testing to make sure that my method actually worked, right? So what we're going to do now is, this is running from the beginning. So what I did initially was when I got the game Pang, the attract mode on it is exactly the same, right? It doesn't vary or anything. So this was a good example for me to use. I've used it before when testing the MiSTer against the MiSTer. So but what we are going to do here, so this is the beginning running, and where I matched it up initially, when it starts it says like ROM check OK or ROM OK, and then it comes up with the warning. I started it on the first frame of the warning that comes up, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into the video a bit. It's going to start with a pause, and then we're going to move it frame by frame to see where the differences are, right? Whether the two original ones stay in sync and the Pi goes off, or whether the Pi stays in sync with a particular original one, or well, I guess we'll see. So guys, before we go further in, if you're not subscribed to the channel, then a subscription is and a like is always super duper appreciated. Yeah, so let's conduct this test. Right, here we are, 46 seconds in, guys, and I want to point out any sound that you're hearing is from all 3 MiSTers. It should be quite low, but if something was to go significantly out of sync, you would hear like double pops or something, right? So at 46 seconds in, I'm going to now move it 1 frame forward, right? And as soon as I move it 1 frame forward, you can see that the MiSTerPi is 1 frame ahead of the original MiSTers, right? Because I'm going to advance 1 more frame, and you can see, here you go. So the MiSTer is catching up, or the MiSTerPi is 1 frame too fast, right? So it's just going to play a little bit now. So what we'll do is we will have a look a little bit further in, and then we'll have a look at the end, and you guys can make up your own mind as to how accurate it is compared to original MiSTers, and in fact how accurate are original MiSTers to one another as well. So here we are now in at 7 minutes, right? So I am now going to move it 1 frame forward, and here we are. So you can see on the MiSTerPi, it's now begun kind of creating that image, right? If you know Pang, you might be able to suss out what is going to come up next, right? I'm going to move it one more frame forward now, and when I do that, you can see the MiSTer has got like pretty much most of the background done. Well, yeah, it has got the background done, hasn't it? And on the original single RAM MiSTer, it's beginning to form up the background like just one frame later, right? Now if we advance one more frame, so on the original MiSTers, it seems like on the dual RAM MiSTer, it kind of missed the frame, right? It missed that kind of startup that we saw on both the MiSTer and the original single. The original dual skipped one frame, but it looks like it has caught up. So at just under 14 minutes, right? So well, let's see what happens, right? So let's advance one frame. And here we are. That is one frame ahead. Now let's advance another frame, right? So MiSTer has it's coming first. Advancing another frame. Here you go. I've pressed it now, and the original single has advanced one frame, right? And then if I press, let me advance one more frame again, and the original dual has advanced a frame, right? So now what's interesting here is if I keep going, right? If you keep an eye on MiSTer and original single, you're going to see that they're actually going to touch down at the same time, right? Here we go. So touchdown. Now look, when the next one, they're going to be going up at the same time. So it's like MiSTer and original single have caught up. They're in sync. Here we go, bouncing at the same time, and we can see original dual is going to bounce up one frame after, right? So again, kind of interesting. You get something that's one frame ahead, and then it kind of catches up, but there's no major differences. And what we can also see here, we can see that, okay, the MiSTer might be out a frame, but the two original DE10 nanos aren't 100% in sync either. They seem to go out a frame at a time as well. As we approach the 18-minute mark right now, let's advance one frame and see what happens. So advancing one frame, you can see that the MiSTer and the original single are in sync, and original dual is one frame behind. So again, very, very interesting. Let's see what happens, right? Are the two MiSTers or the original DE10 nanos, are they going to sync up again? And I don't know, maybe not sync up with the MiSTer. It's very, very interesting, right? At the halfway mark, after half an hour, right? So advancing one frame, and we're kind of back where MiSTer is one frame ahead, and advancing another frame now, we can see that the original single and the original dual have now synced up again at one frame later, right? So again, interesting stuff, how it's kind of going out by a frame, then they're kind of matching up, then they're going out, but the variable, at least for the first half hour, seems to be that one frame, right? And it's swapping between all three of them. Now we are at the 3/4 mark, right? We're nearly done. We're at 45 minutes. So advancing one frame now, we're going to see that the image appears on the MiSTer. Advancing one more frame, the MiSTer advances one more frame, and it looks like we are now 2 frames ahead. Sorry, I just advanced another frame there. So 2 frames later, we got it on original single, and 3 frames later, we have got it on the original dual, right? So the MiSTer first, then 2 frames later, original single, then on the 3rd frame, we have got the original dual, right? So again, I'm really glad I'd done it with all 3. Let me just play that while I talk. So the reason I'm glad I've done it with all 3, because if I only had the MiSTer and one of the original ones, it would be like, oh, look, the clone's not perfect. But it seems the differences that are here kind of appear between original DE10 nanos either, which kind of adds to the credibility of the clone, right? Because it's within that variable range. But let's do a final one near the 60-minute mark and see around about where we are after an hour, of non-stop gameplay in attract mode. And the reason I picked attract mode as well, because everything is the same, right? So this is the final marker now. We are approaching the 1 hour mark, and we're approaching the end of the video, guys, right? So here we are on this black screen. Let's advance one frame, and we can see that on the MiSTer the image is coming up, right? We're about to get the level. Let me advance one more frame, and we have almost got like, we've got the full image, right? Minus your characters and the bubbles yet on the MiSTer, but we're still on black screens on original single and original dual. So let me advance one more frame, and we can see we are 2 frames behind. But what's interesting over here now, guys, right? Wait for the bubble to appear on Mr. Pi. So next frame here, okay, let's do one more frame. And now we've got the bubbles. Right now I'm going to advance one more frame, so 1 frame. I'm going to advance another frame, 2 frames. I'm going to advance one more frame, 3 frames. So it went from being 2 frames to 3 frames, but that's really it. The biggest difference I've had is 3 frames. So after 1 hour of continuous play, now remember everything was the same SD card, same capturing equipment. And guys, I went through this video a lot. I wanted to make sure I got it right, and I ran different tests to make sure everything was running correct. I lined up the exact same videos to make sure if I'm running the exact same video, everything is exactly the same, and it was. Then I ran the individual videos, right? So as far as I can tell, the discrepancies that we have going out 1, 2, and at the end like 3 frames, and likely it's going to go back to 2 again if I was to pause it somewhere and check again. Honestly, guys, the clone is performing as good as the DE10 Nano, right? Let's just say worst case scenario, it does go out 3 frames in an hour. Are you actually going to notice that? It's very, very rare. It doesn't matter how sharp you are on your combos on any of the Street Fighter or say King of Fighters games. 3 frames a second. It's 3 frames 3 frames out in 1 hour. It's impossible, right, for a human to kind of notice that. And also there were also discrepancies between the 2 original DE10 Nano. So this test has really proven to me that, yeah, man, the Mr. Pi is very, very good. Let me know what you guys kind of think. Do you think being out is a deal breaker like this, even though the original DE10 Nanos do it? Educate me a bit on this if there's something, or if there's advice you can give me to kind of improve this test. But that's it for this video, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, thumbs up, subscription, all that good stuff. Be awesome to one another, guys. This is Pixel Cherry Ninja out.